just a bit about the first movement. It opens up with a trumpeter motif. This is like a trumpet playing. 1, da, da, 2, up, 1, and da, 2. It appears that because it's in 2, the piece is written in 2/2, which means there's 2 beats to the measure, that for the most part you're leaning on the first beat and lifting the second. However, there are places I'm going to show you where you won't be falling down hard, you never do anyway, on a downbeat, but you will be going to different destinations in a particular measure, depending on the configuration of the notes, whether they be broken chord patterns in the right hand particularly, or whether the harmonic rhythm says that you need to go to other than the downbeat as your formidable leaning on. So let's look at the beginning. In the beginning, make sure that you do have the formidable downbeat for this opening, for this basic subject of the theme, but at the same time you want to get that loop around EC because it is a broken chord. The broken chords have this little loop around, curve around on the, coming down on the EC. It really goes 1, da, da, 2, up, 1, and da, 2, and 1, da, da, 1. Now in that measure with the eighth notes, I did lift the second part of the measure, this. If I did that in tempo, you could see what I just did. Now we come to the echo, and the echo is of the beginning where it's soft. You could say he's coming down to a softer echo, but you're still a little bit formidable on the downbeat. Now this is a bunch of sequences. Skip down, step up, skip down, step up, skip down, step up, skip down, step up, skip down, resolve. And if you blocked it, you could hear the notes that come out that you're trying to bring out. It would be the E, be the D, be the C, be the B, be the A, and resolve. If you did some rhythms, you could also flesh out the principal notes that you're bringing out. As a crescendo through that. Notice though when I landed on the G just now, I didn't crash on that G because what takes precedence over landing on a downbeat in 2/2 is the fact that you've come out of a dominant to a tonic. You want to make sure you don't crash down on that tonic note on that beginning of that scale, but that you roll into the depths of the keys once you get into the first few notes of the scale. So you have this upbeat. So you can see how I did that. It didn't fall down hard on the principal note or on the basic first half of the measure. I actually rolled into the depths of the keys. My destination really after that scale is the next measure A. What you have to be careful of is that you play the A less here because that goes back to the feeling of the 2. 1 less, 1 and lift and 1 and lift and 1 and lift and. And the other thing to be aware of when you have these Alberti basses, which are broken chords, that you roll them, that you don't thump them. So you get this roll, and don't make this louder than the leading melody on top. So less. Again, now you have a sequence, another scale, a skip above the G scale that you just played. By the way, we're now in G major because he put an F sharp there. So we're getting a little more intense, but we're still starting less and then going into the dead weight of the scale. So less, deeper in the less. see you have to be kind of subtle about how you do this. You can't devise a formula that I'll always play my downbeats big and my second half of measure soft or lighter. That won't work if you have the harmonic rhythm telling you otherwise with cadences, or if you're playing a scale and you're shaping it by going under the beginning and into the depths of the keys. That would be much more musical. Now after he gets to this second scale, which would be here again, you don't want to thump on this, because what takes precedence here is this is an arpeggiated figure, so it's a rolling motion. You can see. You do arpeggio. You do that. You don't start. The same thing happens here. This is a broken chord. So you roll into the depths of the key after. Let's have a rotation here. I'm just showing you softly what the rotation is. Then I'll put the dead weight in. Lean on the E, less on the D. That has to be shaped really well, because now he's opened up into many, many more eighth notes. And that, you could say that in and of itself is a destination, that he spills out now a whole series of eighth notes, where before he had shorter little phrases like or suddenly less D. You have to decide, where you're leaning in a whole strand of eighth notes like this. Otherwise, it makes no sense. It's just note after note after note. So what you're doing is communicating to the listener how you understand how the music is structurally unfolding and musically unfolding and harmonically unfolding. There's so many dimensions to it. But these broken chords, as I said, roll them. Then comes. It's very rolly. That's against this more articulated staccato notes. Depths of the key. So, it's all very open and it's sung out, but it's shaped nicely. Now in this second section, and by the way, the first theme indeed is that's still first theme. That's the second theme, the G major. The scale starts the second theme. It's in the dominant key. Now in the second part, this is development section, and what he does is he's cadenced in G major before he gets to the second section. So that's a dominant, and now he puts a seventh on it, which leads us to either C major or C minor. In this case, he goes from the dominant to the tonic C minor. Because you've taken the dominant of C, you've put a seventh on it. You brought yourself to C minor, not C major. So here, this is rather sad, but you're still thinking of how you're looping the skip, this little, it's no longer a trumpet anymore, it's a sad kind of motif, but he picks up on the same shape as the beginning. Now he's doing resolve, legato. Notice how I do that. Yum, less. Nothing worse than going bum, bum. Be careful that you lift these repeated notes. The second one lifts up. It's the very end of the measure. It's falling away, and that's why you do that. Now he goes back to forte, and he has this accompaniment in the right hand of broken G's. That should be quite spaced and quite nice. Back and forth rotation. I'm doing it softly, just go toward the high G. Toward the high G. what the melody is in the left hand, and this is the fingering I use. I use thumb, 5, 2, it's rocking back and forth, 2, 5, 3, 5, 3, rest, 2, rest, key, bless, falling down to sleep. And when you do things like roll down 5 notes, you don't want to use articulated fingers, but you just drag them down, but roll them down. No. A little more here. Be aware of open crescendos where you start a little more so then you can fall down. So when we get here to these broken G's, bring out now here you want. You don't want. Be careful of things like that. Want one long line there. No destination there. Well behind tempo. This might be a destination here, but then if I would bring it down and bring it down, and I'd roll into that scale into the deeper now destination. Less now. Roll into the depths of that here and less now. Now here comes that long spread of notes and here again you're trailing. So you hear. See how you're playing very long lines at the end because he's spilling out now many, many more eighth notes. There are no more small boxes of measures. This is your rotation up to there. A lot of dragging of the fingers so you don't get this pokey up and down sound. And that's what I do a lot of. I stay very attracted to the keys, if that can help. So all through this piece where you have these long spills of eighth notes, try to get very attracted into the key so you don't get this up and down sound.